pastrami, right?
Well, let's see, how many people do we have? We have like 2.
What are you guys working on?
We're working for the menu.
For what?
For Adoption Day, for the 1-year anniversary of Adoption Day.
Can you tell me what's going to be on that menu?
Yeah, well, of course. You know what it will be, of course, because
Corned
it's
beef.
the anniversary. Pastrami, really good pickles.
2 different kinds.
Okay.
What kinds of pickles?
Well, half sours and sours.
Why is that important?
Well, because I like half sours.
And Ezekiel, who was there, likes full sours. So we have to
So we have to make sure we have something for Ezekiel.
So
Then-
coleslaw.
Yeah, and really good rye bread, that good deli mustard, not that yucky yellow.
It's for adoption, it's good enough for me. A is for adoption, that's good enough for me. A is for adoption, that's good enough for me. Oh, adoption, starts with A! Time to get up, Rosie. It's adoption day.
So what the issue today, what we're hoping to do is to essentially legalize make Joan a legal parent like Jane and Erwin are, for a variety of legal reasons which we've set forth in our paperwork, and to essentially kind of put in legal form what already has been happening in the real world.
When I think of my family, I think of like you and my mom's and my dad's, and that's like my immediate family.
And for how long?
For how long?
Yeah, has this been the arrangement?
Since day one.
Your dad and I started as friends. And I invited him at first to think about being a sperm donor. He reflected on it. And he came back a month later and he said to me, you know what? I don't want to be a sperm donor. I want to be a dad. I want to be a real dad.
Is that what you were expecting him to say?
I was not expecting it at all. I was expecting him to either say, yes, I'll be a donor or not. It took me aback, but it was perfect. It was like, yeah, that is the right thing to do. And I really do want my kid or my kids to have a father role model as well as a mother. When I met Mimi, it was clear that you kids already had a dad. You had me. And then there was no space on the birth certificate for a third parent.
In Massachusetts, the way the law is worded is that they can allow for 2 women or 2 men to adopt if it's in the best interest of the child. There's nothing in the law which says in the best interest of the child is to have only 2 parents.
It speaks to all the research about kids with more adults in their families show more resilience and more ability to have positive role models.
When I was really young, I didn't understand the difference between who was legally my parent and who was not, and who was biologically related to me and who wasn't. Some people don't agree and don't respect the fact that my family sits outside of the convention.
Before I gave birth to Ezra, there were people in my life who were very upset that as a lesbian I was going to bring a child into this world.
So I think that when you and Ezra came into the world, if people did have concerns, they were seeing these incredibly wonderful infants, toddlers, children, adolescents and young adults. And I think through that process, a lot of people also got won over.
Well, I'd say this is, this has been a dream of mine, to step into a family where, Erwin and Jane have been incredibly welcoming to say that, yes, you can be a full parent, and to do this basically on trust, and to sort of just have all the joys of what it meant to sort of see, Ezra and Rosie turn into these amazing human beings.
It was at different points where it was hard to not have legal rights. And it wasn't ever in comparison to less than mom or dad. It really just felt more to me like that there was, that there were times when, where I'd be signing it or a permission form and realize that, if that was ever challenged, that I wouldn't have, that they could take sort of that permission, that ability to sort of be in your lives away from it.
It was puzzling that this wasn't an official thing, because I know how much Joan's been your mom, it's no question in my mind, and it's like, really, you're not officially a parent? And so for me it was sort of like, okay, justice has been done.
And it just took this long for basically the law to catch up to the cultural values that we were creating already in our family.
Part of me wanted to be like the average kid with just a mom and a dad, just so I didn't have to explain it to people. Wait, aren't you like the kid with like 10 dads and like 5 moms? Even if I'm not biologically or legally related to them, like I still consider them family just as much as anybody else.
We talk about custodial arrangements in this court, but when somebody attains the age of 18, there no longer is custody. So yours is a matter of a legal relationship without custodial rights passing. We have this fiction in the law that when somebody is 17 years and 364 days old, they know nothing, and somehow they wake up on their 18th birthday suddenly having been given these incredible powers of discretion and judgment. That means that they no longer need anybody to have custody of them, and you've long since reached that magic point. I don't know if you remember that transformation. Yeah, like what happened?
In theory, I was given the choice because they had to ask me, like, are you sure you want to be adopted? Because we have to ask you, you have to sign it. Like, we can't make the decision for you because you're legally an adult. And I was like, thinking about it for a second, and I was like, well, I don't even know why that would be an option, because that's basically like asking me if I still want you to be my mom, which I do. You've been Mim for my entire life. I've had 2 moms for my entire life, and it's just how it is. It just seems like it's already how it is, so this is just like kind of just like the legal aspect, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it's been my mom forever. I realized that like I really wanted to say something at the adoption and not just say, okay. You know, I really wanted to say something powerful to Mim because she's done so much for me.
A good friend of mine wrote, it's wonderful, a chapter in this book for gay and lesbian film about the importance of the name, and really made a very powerful argument about what you name your children, and also what you name yourselves is very important to how your family evolves. So we actually thought about this a lot, and we decided that the language which spoke to me, which sort of brought in the generations before us, was Yiddish. That's what my father spoke, my grandparents spoke. The name for it might be like mit mama, which would be co-mom or with mom. And so we started saying mit mama, and then Ezra started changing that to mit mom. And from mit mom it went to Mitty, which I did not like at all, to Mimi, to Mim, which is what you call me now. And so I think it's really sweet that you actually have named, you and Ezra have named me Mim.
It's like I never really discriminated. Like, not like one of them was like my like mom and the other was like my like dad mom, if that makes sense. Like they were like both like my mom. Not having one of them be my legal parent didn't really make any difference to me, because both of them to me for my entire life were like both my mom.
I have to make a finding that the petitioners are of sufficient ability to take care of or rear said child and provide suitable support and education for the child, in this case Rose, and that the adoption is in her best interest, having considered her need for loving and responsible parental care and all of the factors relevant to her physical, mental, and moral health. And I have absolutely no problem making those findings. I think you're an extraordinarily lucky young lady, and I do find that it's fit and proper that this adoption should take place, and literally by my signing this piece of paper, by the powers vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you automatically become a family.
We adopted my sister. She's 4 3/4 now. We adopted her when she was born. My parents were there when she was born. And there was a long, like, tense period where her birth father was almost like suing for custody, but the adoption ceremony itself was very much like a, look, we made it. It's there. And the judge had a very big mustache, and that was amazing. And it was a sweet ceremony. He like asked a few questions and then signed a paper and took a Polaroid picture. I guess that's the only place in the world they still use Polaroids.
You know, there was a false start because we had the one that was supposed to happen
That's right. I
on
was
the
gonna
earlier
go to that
date.
one.
And Esther was going to go to that one, and then the date got changed for the second one, and because she couldn't make it. So.
I also heard it sounded like every person, you know, was very present and involved in the adoption, including the judge, who was really
great.
thrilled for all of you.
Yeah,
He was cool.
One thing we do here, we have a couple of traditions. One is that we have this bowl of pens, and what I'm going to ask each of you to do is pick a pen. So Rose, if you can. Okay. You're going to have to lend it to me. Okay. Okay. So if I can borrow yours back, and I'm going to use it to. This is the document that I have to sign. First, I have to make sure the pen works. There we go. Okay. So what I have to do is I have to satisfy myself regarding the identity and relations of all the people involved, and you've done a wonderful job in explaining, all of you, to me what the relationship, and wonderful relationship is. And I think you talked about work. That's exactly what it is. You've done a lot of work. You've made this work.
I just felt like it was such an important and momentous occasion. For all of you, but for Joan in particular, who is my friend. And so I just felt compelled to record it for posterity.
I just think today feels like the culmination of a lot of work and a lot of joy, a lot of tireless effort that our family has gone through for almost 20 years. I was looking at Ezra to figure out how many years. And, when Earl and I started talking about having a baby, it was a long time ago. And we always proceeded as if, because there was no highway built for us.
I think this is the right step for our family. It's a recognition of the role Joan has had in the kids' lives. It's the right thing to do.
It's been a really cool experience for me.
And what's amazing is that most of the people who go to probate court are going there for divorce or other kinds of horrible stuff. So all of these people are meeting in these small, like, two-person, like, strategy things. And we had this group of like 15 people there. Everybody's laughing and hugging and kissing, and we're just like completely different, like, sound energy.
Well, your adoption was even more celebratory, I think, because there was like a large group of people there, semi-large, and it was, woo, see, yeah, like that, and it was fun. It was very, you've been a family for so many years already that it was almost like just like we're putting this in law and mint.
I'm legally my not biological mom's child, and that was pretty cool.
Well, in my mind, something very big changed, and that is that Joan officially became your mom in all of the legal senses of the word. Not that she had not been in any way, shape, or form up to that point.
After being legally adopted, I literally didn't notice a single difference whatsoever. I don't think that our family would be any different if we didn't go through the adoption, just because it isn't really that much different even though we did go through the adoption.
Legally, what changes for our family is that if something happens to you or to Ezra, and they only allow the parents into the emergency room, or you need a parent to sign off, all of those things I can now do. It also means that when grandma dies, and if she wanted to leave money to her grandchildren, that she can do that now directly to you. So those are probably the two biggest things. And then probably the last thing is that given that you're still under 18, that if mom were to die, that you would automatically be under custody with dad, not with me. But now that I'm a legal parent, you wouldn't need to move or anything, because I would still be your custodial parent.
Oh, no, I have nothing to say.
What time?
I was trying so hard not to cry.
Oh, I know, me too. You did a good job.
But it was all crazy here.
Any words for me, Ezra?
Today's awesome.
Yeah.
Mim's finally my legal parent, which is awesome because she already was my not legal parent, but she was still my parent, so now she actually is my parent.
All the adoption craziness, going twice, having all these people was totally worth it. It was absolutely the best day of my entire life so far. When there's something which reflects the outside reflects your internal reality, it feels like the earth and the world is in sync in a new way.
So you're saying even though nothing externally changed, everything changed?
Everything shifted for me.
That's great.
How's your art going, Mama?
Really good, much better as well.
How's your art going?
I'm on my oranges, you know?